What up, Chicken Nuggets? Tyler here with Sports Cards Are Dope podcast, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the story that's kind of been running rampant in the collecting hobby, the story of Lemieux, Mr. ManCave, and some of the stuff that just came out. What are the things that we can do as a collecting community to help ourselves recover from this? This is like the 2008 housing market crash, where there's a big chunk of the market that is not based on something real. And apparently in his, if you're unaware of the story, I'll give you a quick recap. Sorry, I just jumped into it. The founder of Mr. ManCave, I'm reading it, so I don't mess it up. Brett Lemieux, he admitted in like a 1,200 word Facebook, I don't know if you call it a manifesto or admission of guilt, that he'd sold over like 4 million. Is that what it said? 4 million counterfeit items, and it taken over $350 million. That can't be 4 million. That's a lot. That's a lot. Anyway, he described it as like an addiction to like forging these, and it comes with like holograms and things, and he's mixing real ones and fake ones. And we know this, like there have been stories of people who will like get a real card with a real slab and then get the card out and then put the label in with a fake card, and then they take their real card and they resubmit it. And it's just, it's pretty gross, to be honest with you, gross and dishonest. And I think that it creates a level of distrust. And, I do grade good amount of cards, PC, cards to sell. And one of the reasons I do that is, one, I like it. And two, it adds a level of validity. So like I'll give you an example. I bought a Jackie Robinson 1948 Leaf rookie card, the yellow background, Jackie, love it. I bought it on bids raw on eBay for it's like 3,000, 3,200, something like that. I bid my high bid and then just went to bed and woke up and I'm paying $3,000, and it was not graded. And so I did a 1-day turnaround to SGC. They're known for being the best in the sports cards hobby for vintage. And my main thing was, I want to know if this thing's legit or not. And then I'm going to file something with eBay if it's not. And thankfully I did the 1 to 2 day turnaround. I knew I was taking a risk on that. And that's why I went to one of these companies. They're professionals. Not that they don't ever mess up, but they are definitely more professional than me in this arena, and I trust them. And a lot of people in the sports card hobby trust them. And when someone comes out and admits to using their services and manipulating that in a way to where we can't fully trust all of those, that becomes an issue. And yes, I think it could impact the values, but more than that, I think it comes to us is like, what do we do to help make this better? Because yes, you can rant about this, you can blame whatever, whoever, all the stuff. But if you're being honest, from what I can tell, 98% of like dealers and people that buy and sell this stuff, they do it in good faith. They do it because they think it's legit. Like I've had people that have sold stuff to me and they were like, I don't know if it's legit or not. I've sold stuff that it was in a PSA slab, and I was like, hey, here's some red flags. I told you guys about that Kobe, and I was like, here's some red flags, and they were like, no, it's PSA. They were confident in that company. I said, okay, I'm not. That's why I'm selling it, and I'm getting a different Kobe auto. And speaking of, some of the ones to check your collection, some of the main players he said that he forged autos were Kobe Bryant, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Like, these are players you need to look in your collection and see if you have any autographed stuff of theirs, and then start matching it up. Look at their autographs. And again, it's what I always do is I go on and I look at stuff online that is matched up and paired in a PSA BGS slab. And again, that's not 100% foolproof, but I feel like if you do it across 3 or 4 or 5, and especially if you can get it from someone in their collection who knows what they're doing. So like when I got that Kobe, I bought it. It was in a PSA slab, legit. I called PSA, certified, Fanatics Collect. They're the ones that I bought it from. They backed up what PSA said. But I reached out to a collector, Adam Gray, one of the biggest Kobe. He is probably the biggest Kobe card in existence, to my knowledge. He bought it, which may be a PMG green. Might go higher. Anyway, he's got a Kobe Logo Man auto, like great cards. And he's been doing Kobe cards for 10, 15 years. And I was just like, I texted him and said, hey man, is this legit? And he was like, I'm 90% sure it's not. And so it's like, I'm reaching out to other collectors to get their opinions on it. And that's why I just kind of wanted to talk about this, not to be like, oh, look at this, yeah, there's bad people. And there's people that'll do things to make money or because they have these addictions or because whatever it is, whatever their reasoning is, and that's bad, obviously. But what we can do as a sports card community, IMO, is we can help each other navigate this. Like I reached out to Adam Gray because I was like, hey man, you're smarter than me. Can you help me out? And I was like, I even told him, I said, I'll pay you for your expertise. He's like, dude, no, I got you. And he checked it out. Like we have enough forums and enough collecting spaces like Mantle or, I know there's a big community on Twitter or Instagram. Like there's a huge community of people. And I think a majority of them are good and they want to do good and they want to help. And I think that if we can come together and help navigate these and then like report stuff, or if something has a red flag, like the worst is when you have it and then you sell it to somebody and then you find out it's fake. Like I don't ever want that feeling. I've had that feeling. I bought 2 Tom Brady rookie cards from a guy about 45 minutes away from my house, bought them from him when I first started collecting, went and set up at a show, sold them both. And then two different dudes, they both came back separately. One took it to a table and the guy was like, yeah, I don't think that's legit. And then another guy went and compared it with something that was in a BGS slab and it was off. And they brought them back to me. If this happens to you somewhere down the chain, hopefully it gets back to the person that like knows that it's fake and like made the fakes, and they're the ones that end up kind of like, I say, like being stuck with the bag. They would be back to where they started, not ripping people off. But if it doesn't get all the way back to them, at some point, it gets stuck on somebody who's going to take the loss. I knew I might take the loss. I met some stranger at his house. It was really creepy the way I said it. And I bought a lot of cards from him. And he seemed like a nice guy, so I didn't think he did it on purpose. But when those dudes came back to me, the first thing I did was like, I'm so sorry. I did not know. I have never owned a Brady rookie until now. And so I just refunded them immediately. That's what we got to do. In this process, if you find out or you have somebody who thinks is skeptical about it, I recommend you refund that, because unless you like opened up and said, hey, here's the risk. Are you willing to take it? And they're like, oh, I'll go for it. You know what I mean? Like there are some people that think they're confident in it and they're willing to take that risk. And as long as you're open about it, I think that's fair. However, if you do that, if you have somebody come back, I think it's appropriate to try and get them that back. Sorry, my phone's going off because Finance Collect is ending. Actually right now I'm in a hotel, and I keep doing these from hotels. Sorry. I'm at a hotel in West Virginia. I'm speaking at a conference tomorrow. So what up? Always in here looking like I'm being held hostage. And so I think that, and then I actually called the dude and I was like, hey, I want to look at some more cards, but I really wanted to talk to him about that. As soon as he met me, I was like, hey man, these are fake. And he didn't have the money that I spent. So what I did was I worked with him on he had some other cards and stuff. And so I just found that much value I'd paid him. And then I got that in other materials. So I think that's the way to do business. I bought there's a guy that he runs a card show in Northwest Arkansas, and I met him at another card show, not in Northwest Arkansas, but he was set up there and he had a Wilt Chamberlain auto in a slab. It wasn't a PSA or Beckett. It was like a company I'd never heard of, but it was an on-card auto, Wilt Chamberlain. And bought it from him and he said, hey man, if it's not legit, come see me. And I was like, that's all I need to hear. And so I sent off the PSA, spent $80, and they said it's questionable and they did not slab it. And so I plan on going to visit him. Hopefully we can work something out. And here's the thing, if he doesn't want to give me the $400, cool. I'll look around his table and see if I can find 400. You, even as that side of it, the person who got the fake and they're willing to take it back, work with them on it, because it is a lot harder for them to just toss out the hundreds when they messed up. So maybe they have stuff in their collection that they can have a little margin. And that way, if they can't push it further up the ladder to get it back to the source, they're not stuck holding that bag. So those are just some tips on things that we could do in the hobby as we try to navigate this. But I would really love a couple companies. I haven't seen anything, but I'd love a couple companies to come forward and just be like, hey, we'll do free reviews, just do something. That would be so great if a company could come out and say they'll do something to help correct this. And it's going to take years to help correct this influx of fakes into the market. And it's going to take time for us as collectors to start weeding those out. And there's probably going to be people that have them stuck in their collection and they don't know, and then they'll pass them on. But then again, I guess if they keep them forever and they pass on before they find out it's fake, they still had the feeling that they had the legit one, right? So I don't know. I would recommend reaching out. Here are my tips. Reach out to somebody. If you're unsure, if you have an autograph that you're not sure about, reach out to somebody, or reach out to a forum or community about it and say, hey, what do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Okay. The second tip is let's be kind and understanding of people as we try to navigate if we find out it is. And number 3, let's work with the people if they're willing to work with us on it. So don't expect, oh, give me my money. I gave you $1,200 for it. Give me all that money back. Let's see if we can work with them. See if there's stuff in there. If they're willing to work with you, see if there's stuff that they could give you that is equivalent to that. And then they can take that item and then try to move it up the line. So those are my thoughts. What are y'all's thoughts in the comments? What do you think about this? Obviously, it's not a great situation, especially in our hobby, because we do rely a lot on people and these things and these companies being legit. And if somebody's manipulating it, again, it doesn't sound like it was the company's issues. I'm sure they made mistakes along the way, but it sounds like the issue was he was taking the company's certifications and redoing it. And I've thought, because I've thought about opening a card shop, and I've thought about like, how would I do it? Because that'd be one of the big things I did is had like players and, pop culture people and, even, creators. I'd have them come into the shop and do like meetups and hangouts and then also have them like sign stuff. And that could be a way to like offset the cost to bring them in. And so have them sign, like I'd order a bunch of stuff and get some like cool items, unique items, and have them sign those things. And I thought like, yes, I could just have like all of it sitting in a pile till I paid JSA or somebody to come out. But I thought too, what I would do is I would film, like record the entire interaction of them like doing all that. Like, these streamers do, I would just go live on it and then like almost turn it into like a podcast, but where they get to sign stuff. Now, granted, athletes might not want the distraction when they're trying to autograph stuff, but I don't know. That would be my thought. At the very least, be like a muted video, like an overhead shot and then a side shot of that player signing it. And then you like get your own like certification sticker and then like attach that to each of those items, and then like that QR code on that certification sticker redirects back to like tarvercards.com, and you can look up your player and then like watch the video of them signing everything. Maybe that's not as good as like Beckett, how you can type in their stuff, or Upper Deck and it'll go to an exact picture. I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts? Let me know in the comments. I would love to know what are your thoughts on this situation, what we can do as a community, and then if you had a card shop, how would you do that? Would you rely on these companies? Would you film it? Like, give me some thoughts, because I want to steal all of them when I open up a card shop. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate your time and this conversation. I thought about not doing it just because it is, like, I try not to focus on like this negative stuff, but this is a big deal. And I think it's important that we discuss it and then throw around good ideas. You guys throwing them at me too on how we can help improve this. So this is Sports Cards Are Dope podcast, and so are you. Never stop collecting. Later, y'all.